Welcome, my friends, to part one of learning how to spot. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to focus on helping someone up on the rings. This is how it goes. For Will, he's just going to stand under the rings right now, and I'm going to grab his lower back around his hips. I want to make sure that my thumbs are wrapped around him. And now what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick little dialogue, which is we're going to have a countdown. It's going to be 3, 2, 1, go. On go, Will is going to jump. So are you ready, Will?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to go hands on the hips. We're going to count down, 3, 2, 1, go. He jumps. I assist him all the way up. Once he's fully hanging, I can now let go of Will. So come on down. That would be part one. A lot of times what happens is that when people spot each other, they have a tendency of moving away from the person they're spotting. In this case, I want you to move towards the person you're spotting, so stay nice and close. The other thing is use your legs to assist the person that you're helping up. That's it. Now, once the person is on the rings, now we're going to move one hand to the lower back, the other hand to the thigh. The reason is we want to use that as leverage to facilitate the swing. This is what it looks like. So Will is going to get back up on the rings. We're going to count you down first. 3, 2, 1, go. He's on the rings. Once he's fully hanging, I move my hand to his lower back, and then I'm going to move my other hand to his thigh. Now from here, we're going to start swinging. So go ahead and start swinging, Will. As Will is swinging, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to stay in contact with his body the whole time, meaning my hand on his thigh is never leaving the thigh. It's staying in contact, and my hand on his back is staying in contact as well. As he is swinging, I want to make sure that my hand is in contact with his back, and if I want to assist him a little bit, I can push through to help him create a bigger arch. Once we're done with the swinging, go ahead and stop swinging. We make sure that the athlete is hanging perfectly under the rings. I can come around, grab his hips, and now you can drop down. Will is safe, A-OK, and that would be spotting an athlete up on the rings and then getting them swinging. So in part two, what I want to help you do is start spotting people, but using the low rings as an accessory here. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to set the band on the rings just like Will has it right now. Will's going to take a seat and go ahead and just get into his nice hollow body position while hanging. In this case, Will is going to be in a pretty tight band position, so he is elevated off of the ground. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand on his low back, just like we did while swinging on the high rings, and then I'm going to put my left hand on his thigh. Notice as I grab his thigh, I place my fingers under his thigh and my thumb above. From here, all we're going to practice is rocking. This is like mimicking the front portion of the swing. And as he rocks, we're going to use this now to create the hip drive. So on 3, my count, Will is going to drive his hips up, and I'm going to spot him with my right hand. So it's going to go 1, 2, and hip up. I am assisting that with my right hand. So if you watch me from the other side, what you'll notice is as Will is rocking, once his toes are approximately at eye level, that's where he would drive the hips up. So he goes 1, 2, hip up, and then I assist him gently on the way down. So that would be your hip drive on the low rings. So once you got the hip drive on the low rings, now we can start practicing the whole transition. And the way that we're going to do it is like this. Will's going to set up with a less tense band. He's going to hang from the rings. I'm going to spot the same way from his lower back and from his thigh. We're going to do the same 3 rocks. On the 3rd rock, Will's going to perform the actual transition. My goal is to stay in contact with Will the whole time. So we're going to give this a shot. I'm going to go on the thigh, on the back. We're going to go for 3 rocks. So 1, 2, 3. Will goes over, and I'm holding on to him tight. Notice where my hand is. It's holding him like a chair for him to sit on. And if you look at the back, my right hand is on his lower back. It never came off of his back. I was assisting him all the way through. So go ahead and come down, hang again. We're going to do the same rock. So we're going to go 1, on 3 we transition, 2, transition. My hand remains in contact with his lower back the whole time. My left hand is holding him up to make sure that he's stable. And then come on down. We do that again on 3. 1, 2, 3. He snaps over. I have full contact with him. And now the athlete is feeling safe. If you can do this on the low rings, you'll be able to transition to the high rings. So part 3 of spotting the muscle up on the rings, we're going to combine part 1, which was swinging on the high rings, with part 2, which was performing the transition on the low rings. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to break it up into 2 pieces here. The first piece is going to be, can Will get his hips to the rings, and can I assist him in doing that? And the second piece is going to be, can he not only get his hips up, but can he also perform the transition? So how we're going to do this is Will's going to stand under the rings. I'm going to grab him from the hips. We're going to count him down, 3, 2, 1, go. He jumps up. We make sure that he's stable while he's hanging. I flip over to the side. We start swinging. My hand is on his thigh and on his lower back. On 3, my count, he's going to drive his hips up. 1, 2, on 3, hips go up. As his hips go up, what I am doing, you can come on down, is I'm assisting him with my right hand. My right hand is pressing on his lower back so he can rise to the top of the rings. Now, I want you to pay attention to what I'm doing with my left hand. As Will is swinging, my hand is on the top of his thigh. On the third swing, when he begins to drive his hips up, I flip my hand around and place my hand on his back thigh. And from there, I can now use not only my right hand, but also my left hand, as if I were to push, press, or thruster Will up towards the ring. So pay attention to what's happening with my left hand. We count him down, 3, 2, 1, go. He jumps up, we get him stable. I place my right hand on his lower back, left hand on the top of the thigh. We start swinging. On 3, his hips are going to go up. So 1, 2, pay attention to my left hand, 3. My hand goes from on top of the thigh to under the thigh. And that way I can assist him in lifting his hips, and I can feel like I'm in contact with him the whole way. So once you got your athlete to get their hips up to the rings, and you have the ability to flip your hand around so you can get it below his thigh or almost like in his knee pit, now you'll have that shelf we were talking about earlier that we use on the low rings. That's going to act as a platform that Will, in this case, can sit on as he finishes his transition. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have Will jump up on the rings. We're going to start swinging. On the third swing, he's going to drive his hips up. As I flip my hands around, I'm pressing him up. Once he sees the top of the rings, he's going to perform the transition. My job is to give him a push with my right hand to make sure that he gets over, and with my left hand to hold my left hand up and stable so I can hold that shelf for him that he can sit on and he feels comfortable having some support. So nothing changes. The only thing we're going to do now is we're going to finish the transition. So Will gets under the rings. We count him down. 3, 2, 1, go. He jumps up. He's hanging stable. I get to the side, right hand on his back, left hand on the thigh. We start swinging. I'm in contact with him. On 3, we're going to perform the transition. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Will performs the transition. I'm holding him tight with my left hand. Go ahead and drop back. I grab him on the way down the same way that I helped him on the way up, and that way he will be stable all the way through. Now, keep in mind, if your athlete is on a high pair of rings and you can't fully reach, you can grab a box or a bench. Just make sure that you place the box or bench off to the side, and that way your athlete can swing freely. Thank you very much, Will.
Thank you.
Boom. Muscle up, spotting.